Hello everybody, Chris here, and in this video I'd like to give you 5 WordPress plugins that every site should have in 2017. And we're going to get started with a page builder. Now right now I'm checking out the Elementor page builder, though there are plenty of other good page builders out there, and this is the one where I would say it's really up to you which one you want to use. But as you can see from the demo that we've got going on here on their screenshots page, it works very similar to a Weebly page builder, where you have these elements on the left and you drag them onto your page as you want to create pages. So the reason you would want to have a page builder, if it's not totally obvious, is so that you don't have to write a lot of code for basically everything you want to do. Because if you're trying to create a custom front page, it might be a little tricky to get things like those buttons to appear without using a page builder. But a page builder drastically reduces the amount of like HTML code that you're going to have to write or short codes, because you can just drag and drop everything onto the page. So page builders are great, and definitely if you're going to have anything more than just the most basic blog, you should have a page builder on your website. Next up, force regenerate thumbnails. So this plugin might not be entirely obvious about what it does straight from the plugin or the title of the plugin, but the idea here is that when you upload an image onto your website, your image might be initially a much bigger size than what you actually need to display on your page. And when an image has a really big size, it's going to take a really long time for those images to load on your site. So the idea behind having thumbnails is that they're like preview images that are shrunken down, that maybe show what you want them to show, or basically insist that the user clicks on the image to see the full version if they're still interested in it. But having those thumbnails rather than the full image in every case makes your pages load a lot faster, because images are one of the reasons why a page may take a long time to load. So with force regenerate thumbnails, what it does is it takes a look at every instance where those your images might be appearing on your site, and it will create different versions of that same image to match all of those spots where it's going to display. So basically, when an image displays anywhere on your website, it's going to display in the perfect size, which means it's going to take the minimum amount of basically bandwidth for it to load. So having force regenerate thumbnails or a similar plugin is really solid and a good idea for your website, especially if you're using images, and most sites are. Next up, WordPress security. So we already know on your Windows machine that you are going to have an antivirus. Even in the latest versions of Windows, actually I think since like XP, they've had some kind of Windows Defender or Windows antivirus, and there's also plenty of other ones out there like AVG and Avira that kind of expand on that option or give you a premium security suite. So WordPress security is very similar to that, except it's running on your website. So WordPress security has basically a good bit of different stuff that it does for your website, but one of those things is, for instance, scanning for basically malware or malicious code that may exist in the plugins on your site. So if you install a plugin that's maybe less reputable, it'll let you know if there's an issue there, like if it's actually meant to do malicious harm or anything like that, to kind of mine data from your website rather than actually being a plugin. And it also protects against things like SQL attacks. They've got a big list when you open up the page. But just the idea of having security on your website in the form of what's effectively an antivirus is a good idea. For the same reason it's good for your Windows machine, but maybe even more so, because with web servers, it's a public-facing way of talking to your audience, talking to people out there on the internet. And it only takes one dude to go and be like, haha, I'm going to crack that website or something like that. And then you're going to really wish you had some kind of security plugin. And they do have a premium version that adds more features. Yeah, I mean, we can see some of the stuff down here. A firewall, blocking features for basically IP addresses where they've been trying to DDoS you or anything like that, and a bunch of other stuff which goes well beyond the breadth of this video. But I would recommend checking it out. So next up, Yoast SEO. If you're writing any kind of blog content to kind of get basically search engine traffic, Google, Bing, that kind of thing, then Yoast SEO is going to be a good plugin to have on your website because one of the things that Yoast SEO does pretty well is to let you know, give you feedback basically on how you're writing your website. So you have a post, and it might be the greatest content in the world, or you might think it is, but is it actually hitting keywords that rank in Google search? Because if you're not hitting those keywords, no one's ever going to find your post. And that's why Yoast SEO is basically there to tell you if the way you're writing your post is good for hitting those keywords. Like, do you mention the keyword enough, or do you maybe mention it too much? Do you have images? And do those images mention your keyword? That kind of thing. So it's really good as a feedback mechanism, and it also allows you to do things like set custom search descriptions and custom search titles if you don't want the one that WordPress automatically sets for you. It's called like an SEO description or an SEO title for better results in the search engine. And then fifth for today, and of course there's many other plugins out there which are good to have, but these 5 just really apply to pretty much everybody. WP Super Cache or similar plugins. So when WordPress basically provides a web page to your users, by default, it's doing it dynamically. So WordPress runs on PHP code, and that PHP code grabs a bunch of information from your database. It links up with the different images that basically exist on your web server and pieces together a page for your user to view. And that process is kind of on the heavy side, especially if, for instance, you have a lot of traffic going into your site, and it's faster, when possible, to just give them a static copy of that web page. So basically, your with WP Supercache, your website, once it's created a page, will hold on to that page for a certain amount of time, basically in memory, to go ahead and provide that again to another user who may be viewing that page, or the same user comes back. So if you're getting a lot of traffic to your website, WP Supercache can drastically improve the speed at which your web server services those web pages to your users. And that's really important, because if a web page is running too slow, your user may just click off before it goes ahead and loads. So this is a free plugin. I think there might be some premium features. Most plugins do have premium features, the good ones anyway. But just having this can help speed up your site, so there's really no reason not to have something like this. So WP Supercache, if you want a little extra speed on a high traffic site, or even a modest traffic site, that's one to go with. So once again, to top off the list, a page builder plugin like Elementor Page Builder. Site Origin is another one that's pretty good. Force Regenerate thumbnails for your images to make sure they're being provided as small as possible in size. WordPress Security to protect against attacks. Yoast SEO to help you write better content, or content that ranks better in search engines. And WP Supercache, another speed up your site plugin. So I've been Chris. I hope you found this top 5 list useful for you guys in 2017. If you have any other recommendations, feel free to let them know, or let me and other people know down below in the comments, because I'm sure that there are other really solid ones that people should hear about. And I will see you all in my future video content.